As you can see in the upper left-hand corner of the board, we've got a game between O Rissei and Cho Chikun. Cho Chikun, I think everyone knows. I think it's a really common name that everyone's aware of, right? I think so. Interestingly enough, he also has multiple games in the top 50. I also want to take time out to point out once again, if you have not already done so, you will find down below, later on YouTube anyway, you will find down below a link to currently my favorite female Korean player. I would like to get more female players on the top 50, so give her game a link. We are trying to get her into the top 50 games of all time on Go4Go. Why? Because there's only one currently listed there, and that's because she played Lee Chang-ho. That's no good. That's no good. Because it looks like right now, short of a female professional playing AlphaGo, it's just not gonna wind up on the top. And that's kind of unfortunate. But alright, we've got Cho Chikun playing the 3-4 point in the upper right-hand corner of the board, and white apparently is in a mood. He says, play whatever you want, which black does. Now, I confess I have not studied very many of O Rissei's games. I'm not really familiar with his style of play, but I will say that it is a little unusual to approach your opponent immediately on the 3-4 point. Now, let's change things around a little bit. Let's say things were like here. I would say, alright, sometimes we do this because if we play here, then our opponent can play the orthodox Fuseki, or we could go into an approach into a Chinese variation. So sometimes, alrighty then, we'll go ahead and play here first, see if we can get our opponent to commit, and then rather than protect the cut point, we'll take the corner. Thus we have sort of put a, thrown a little wrench into our opponent's plans. Since the stones on the board have opened up this way, and not that way, and white still plays here, can only assume it is because he does not want Cho Chikun playing a low Chinese variation. That would be my opinion. The governing reason for this kind of thing is to see if we can't prevent our opponent from playing a Fuseki that we don't really want to play against right now. That would be my assumption. So I'll replay here. Now we don't have to respond locally. There's a corner available. We can. And I might even, for basics principles, if you are trying to, adopt a more basic style of play, maybe you should play the open corner rather than get into the fight that your opponent wants. But Cho attaches outside saying, take my corner, I don't even mind. So he does. Not a lot of choices here. We can play here. We can play here. The outside would be more if we had already, I don't know, for some reason, had some kind of development here. Then we could Hane on the outside because we'd be trying to develop this little area. Instead, white goes, alright, I take the Kona. Oops, sorry, black's turn, not white. Black pulls back. White does as well. We can Hane at the head of all of the stones. So we are going to play here and threaten to play here. Thus our opponent is going to respond because he doesn't really want to see a black stone being played here, being completely enclosed. That would not really make him happy. Takes corner. This is actually a really good move to get in. If we play here, then we took the corner and we got out on the 4th line. That's So we make sure that he does not get the corner and the outside completely. Before going back and playing the corner. Now we could play there still, but that's still a bit of a bigger difference. Because from here, if we place here, we can still get shape if we need to. Whereas previously, if white just plays here or the Hane, I mean, you tell me where you're making shape. You can't, right? You can't. You're like, you can be like, I'm gonna extend now. It's like, okay, but I mean, there's so that's not shape. We can say, all right, we're gonna answer it, but still not quite shape, right? At least this way. We can say, all right, our opponent responds. We can at least play here. I can see that I've got at least one eye. Or opponent plays here, and I can play here because this doesn't threaten to connect. So you can kind of see, even though we didn't defend it, we can see like the value of that stupid little Hane. Right? Don't tip it off the board, that's his move. Oh, right. Now, for his efforts, we now must decide what is large on this board. Where are we going to play? It's a good question. Where do we play? Where do we play? Opening theory would suggest that we want to play on the largest side of the board, which would not actually be here. If we are following opening theory, it would be here. Or here. But this way to expand. However, as I'm so fond of saying, there are certain things that trump the blind corner side center philosophy for opening theory. And that is denying your opponent things. For example, here's what I mean by that. Let's take a clear, easy to see example. We have an enclosure. We have an open corner. We wouldn't still want to approach here and give our opponent the extension from the enclosure because that's regarded as really, really good. So this kind of thing supersedes opening theory in that regard, and we would want to play the side before we did something with the corners for that particular reason. Okay? We have the same idea here. It's like this is not an enclosure, but it's a lot of influence, and our opponent wants to extend from it. So this is another instance in where opening theory is going to cave to things, other things going on the board. Such as, this is too good, it's going to block it. The enclosure here would be too good to get an extension from, so we'd block it. Go is wonderful in that regard. You can learn like rules and stuff, and every single time there was going to be an exception to why we don't play this golden structured rule that works absolutely in most games, but maybe not in this one. Maybe not in this game. Those other games, sure. But this game, nah. R11 is an interesting suggestion by Ron Chani. This move says, I'm a little nervous about this area. I can't say no to it. Seems okay. Does allow a little bit more of an extension than here, for example. Allows a little bit more of an extension. But O Rissei plays high. And Cho Chikun, Chikun's going to play aggressively here. He's going to say, oh, the things he's going to say. He's going to say, this is thickness. And he's going to use his thickness against the one stone. So he decides to say, this move here is going to be attacked. And we're going to attack it by pincering it. That right there is an aggressive move if I've ever seen one. He's not saying, I'm just going to approach and let you get whatever. I'm going to get a base and let you do whatever. Maybe gonna settle here so I can attack you over here and do whatever. I'm gonna cut off your stone. The wall is so far. The wall is so far. Make no mistake, this is an extremely aggressive move. White jumps out. And I had no idea Cho Chikun was this aggressive. Holy crap. His next move? It's like, I'm gonna try and make you a stick. I'm gonna try and make you a stick. I guess the idea here being is we're gonna try and get this result from our opponent. And then maybe something like this from to settle. Our opponent will either kick us or make something like here. And then maybe after this we could maybe shoulder hit to try to begin putting this behind enemy lines. Or maybe he was going to try and come out from this angle. That way we're threatening to go over top or over top over here. This seems like the direction this is going. I confess I have not studied these players in any great detail, so I don't really know. Do you know that's aggressive? I also know is we're not going to stick this. Yeah, we're not going to turn this into a stick. So rather than connecting solidly, we play here, which also gets rid of potential later on for a base. So, I mean, kudos to White so far. White seems like he's doing pretty good. Like his moves are having double purpose. We're connecting and we're kind of leaning. Alright, so we do get a base here. Alright. Can he kick? Yeah. Solid extension. Of course, because we're threatening the follow-up, so our opponent's going to obviously respond. Like so. Alright. Oh, and now he's going to lean. That makes me nervous. I mean, it's Sente. Our opponent can't surround us right now. And to be honest, even if he could surround us right now, we've got like a far extension over here and the corner still. So are we really in that much trouble if we get surrounded? Not really. It just kind of gives a lot of influence potentially in Sente to our opponent, I suppose. But yeah, we're not going to ignore this move. Okay. Looking at all of the shapes. This is an interesting situation because we get the cut, but he doesn't mind black trying to live here. White is emphasizing the outside with this. So he's just going to turn here and be like, you can live, but I'm hurting these stones. So this is an aggressive play against the base. If we had just played something else, like here, for example, that lets us make this exchange, and now we've got shape here for our opponent, right? For black. Black's got shape. So white got N6 for free. Oh, nope, sorry. Stupid variations not erasing themselves off the board. So yeah, we don't do that one. But yeah, this is very aggressive against the outside. Extends. Time to read the ladder on out. Oops, that's a problem. And that's a nice, easy way for you to... It's weird. Like, you think that everyone can read ladders, right? Because, like, there's, like, the little trick to it. You don't actually have to sit here and be like, okay, I need to envision that white plays here, and then I need to envision that black plays here, then I need to envision that white plays there, and I need to envision that black plays here, and then I need to keep envisioning this. And like I had a student once that actually tried to read out ladders like one move at a time, like all the way across the board. But I don't know, if you're one of those people, all you have to do is just read out the diagonal, because black's going to stay along that path unless something changes. So you don't have to read out this, or this, or this, or this, or this, or this, really? All you have to do is kind of like read out that diagonal, like where is that going? As long as we can like read diagonally across the board, we're good. Did I take away too many moves? I did. This, and then this one, then here we go. So black comes out, because again, all we have to do is just read the diagonal straight across the board from here, and see where it goes. So if you are one of those players that for some reason, I don't know why, but if you're for some reason one of those players that does read out the ladder one move by one move by one move, I hope you don't do that ever again. Turns. I am officially getting scared for white, because we have to defend this and this same time. We're pushing because we're threatening this. If black gets this move in, even if we respond, there's like the Atari, and then there's the push, so these stones are dead. So you have to be very, very careful. White looks fine. These look fine to you? Not to me, man. White doesn't look fine to me here. Like, Proverbs would say that we don't want to let our opponent hide ahead of 2 and 3 stones, but we have to break Proverbs because of what we were doing, because this is getting not funny. Like, we need to do something here, right? So he comes out, putting pressure on the group, and then black says, I don't even care. I like the I don't care move. Like, you can continue your attack over here, but that means I'll continue my attack over here, and then we trade. You know? White says, I ain't down for that trade. And like Proverbs, we can double Hane here, but we can also play here. What's the point of this move versus this move? Does anyone know? Can anyone tell me what the difference is between this move here and this move here? There is a really, really big difference between these two moves, between this one and then just playing this one. What is it? What's the difference? What's the difference? The difference is a large knight. That is the critical point for M18. Let me make sure that you are... Yes. Yes, it is. But it goes a little bit beyond that. This just says, like, I want you to live. Which probably means this corner is scratched. Like, I'm going to give up this for influence, right? Which, don't get me wrong, would be pretty sexy if we had, like, a San Rissei on the board. Shut up. Yes, I just said that. Then I would say maybe that's really cool. But we don't have that, so instead we play here. And why, you'll see in a minute. Now, white's trying to live. odd time to go back in Hane, but you'll see where this is going in a minute. Since we have white's shape point, white has to live. So you might be saying, oh, okay, we're just going to get more influence from this variation, right? But it goes beyond influence, to be completely honest. White goes back and tries to live and live and live. But it means that we've got the access to the cutting point. So who's to say we have to give up the corner? We're getting a wall, we're getting some influence, but maybe we can save this corner. Does anyone see how this saves the corner? It's a fun little life and death problem here. Isn't it? Isn't this kind of interesting? Because we can read out the connection is embarrassingly bad. We'll go from there to only having 2 liberties on our opponent's turn. Hane at P18. No, we're going to double Atari. Because our opponent can't drop down, and our opponent can't drop down an Atari. So white has to take. Let me look how I'm doing this. White's on top, so top bowl is white's. And then we play here, which is now just threatened to link up underneath as well. Take, and we connect. We go under, which threatens here. We don't threaten this one, because that gets a little complicated. That gets a little bit more complicated. So we play here to live. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sente first. Sente first. Always Sente first. Always Sente first. Then you go back and play here. Alright. So now we have to decide what's the largest point. It looks like we're going to be okay here, right? Because how can white really fight against this and try to kill? Like, what move in here is going to try to kill? Is it going to be this one? That looks like a lot of room. A lot of room to live there. So if we're fine in the corner for now, then what? Why didn't white also play G18? Let me verify what G18 even is. Oh, 16, sorry, G6, the push. I gotcha. Why didn't white play here is the question. Well, fun thing about this, it's probably going to be Sente. If you're making this exchange, and your opponent responds, you're probably going to make another one, because this turn is big, right? This turn makes a solid connection. So if we're going to play up, that means we're going to continue playing up, and it's going to be Gote. So the question becomes, like, where are the larger moves now? Like, our opponent could play the turn right now, right? And then we could, like, poke at it. And then we're going to connect because we're making all the influence, right? So we're going to play something like that. But then our opponent can have Sente and go back and kind of get rid of the influence. Yeah? So there's that to consider. So since you can't really connect through here, and Sente to play a big move, we're not really interested. It's never really going to happen, I assume. So don't really have to care. Maybe later on, we actually want to play here as well. And now we can't if we make that exchange. So Black's biggest thing to do right now is not be dead. White says, I want you to die. Black declines. Now, we're not even going to pretend that the pushing and the cutting works. So he jumps. If we play here, right? If we play here and we get cut, then we're going to connect. That also means that this move can now push through as well, which is a problem. This stone can come out further, which is a problem. This group here doesn't really have a problem because we've got forcing moves into here as well as into here. So we got pretty decent shape here. So White says, you know what? No, I'm going to jump out. Place pressure on the middle group. Black comes through. Puts pressure on both. Corner is very, very important, so we're going to go ahead and live. And now we can play here, because it seems like it's got good timing. Right? Because we were able to strengthen ourselves and come out. So now Black has to worry about what we're going to do here. All we can do right now is jump out. We're now kind of getting attacked here. Oh dear. Very severe moves, kind of ruining shape. Seeing what we can get done. Threatening to save our stone. Guess that's a good question. Slightly better shape. This is also threatening here. This. Essentially, this is threatening two spaces immediately. This has other issues. Like, are we really alive here? Right now? Okay. Now? Gets more difficult. You have to be careful of this room. This room is not happy. There's a lot of Aji back in that room. This one's tough. We have to play here to try to kill it, right? But we live immediately with our very next move. I think we can even throw in... No, we can't throw in. Can we? No, we can't. We could do this. Yeah, we could do this. And now we can throw in. Because this and this are Mii, I guess. So we play here, they tries to kill us, we can play here. Our opponent plays there, we can connect. And so we're not going to die anytime today. So we don't have to give up this one stone. I'm guessing. That's what my quick life and death says about it. Where were we? Right, Atari and take. And then take. Also, anyone that follows during the stream, I want to point out, I'm not currently listening to my headphones, so I will just say thanks for everyone, or who may or may not have followed while I was either setting up or going over the game. I do appreciate it. Especially this week, when in the coming weeks we're going to try and get partner again. Need as many people watching the stream as I possibly get my hands on. Black's turn, we go through. We're not going to give up this area to our opponent. Some of you more passive players would be considering it. But this is a lot of territory. It's like if you give up, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4... by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then you kind of have to give up. You have to get that somewhere else. Like where do we just like turn around? Where do we just turn around and get like an equal result of that? Nowhere, right? So some of this has to not be territory. Life and death time. Life and death time. Is this Sente? Life and death time for y'all. This is a huge point where we always need to be aware of what is and is not Sente. Do we have to respond to this? Because if we do have to respond to this immediately, then our opponent gets to play, you know, wherever. If we don't get to respond to this, we get to save our fricking stone. You see how huge that would be? Either it's Sente, then maybe we can attack and cut through. Like, if this is Sente, we can, like, maybe push in some. If it is not Sente, it is not Sente, but it is still big. Exactly. Yes, it is not Sente, but it is big. That is true. So white does in fact play here. Black turns. And then we get to play it. So we kind of like got that solidity here. Black comes out, because we're going to try and cap the stone. So we come out with a regroup. We honey at the head of 3. Our opponent says you can't do that because this liberty is not taken, so you can't really play severely against me. Because the honey at the head of 2 and 3 stones, it's more of a comment on the liberties you can hane ahead of than the number of stones itself. Like, you could have like 50 stones here, but if they only had 3 liberties, then you could hane at the head of them. Here we have the 3 stones, but we actually have 4 liberties, so white says, no, you can't do that, and play severely against me. Gonna go ahead and come through. Tari. Nice and solid. Fight continues, with shape problems all over the place. Huge attempt of top side. This could be fourth line expansion. So black shuts that down. White asks if this is nice and alive. Also, we're getting free moves on the bottom of the board. Forcing black to connect back. Now the turn threatens to kill off these two stones here. So it looks like black is almost completely alive. I mean, if we can save this stone, maybe not. But we can envision, like, ways to potentially knock out the eye. But more importantly, we also have moves like this now for white. We could get a base of sorts down here, which is also kind of nice. First, we fix ourselves. Black plays Hane. White extends. Otherwise, the Atari take, Atari, fill, extend is kind of severe against this, right? You would have to envision that we would get this otherwise for black without it. And you can see from there that that is a really, really problem, right? Really, really, really big problem. If white doesn't extend here, we get to Atari, take Atari, fill, extend, and now we're in a little bit of trouble. Black's getting to develop the top side while attacking here. It's a problem. It is a problem. So rather than saying, I have Sente now, ho, 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 he extends. And now rather than black saying, I have Sente again, ho, 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 and letting this entire area come under attack, he makes shape. I want to reinforce that for some of you greedier players among you. I know you exist. Can't deny it. You exist. Some of you would want to do it. But then this gets attacked, that gets attacked, white gets to build out. So instead, we make shape. And white in turn connects everything, being all nice and shapely. Poke its pyramid. Alright. It seems that everything has been settled, right? We made shape here. White made shape here. We're out over here. We went back, lived in the corner there. So what do we do now? What do we do now as black? There is a lull in the fighting. There is certainly a lull in the fighting. So what do we do? What do we do? Any ideas? Now, CK Flight. By not understanding the game, do you mean this specific pro game that's being played out here? Or do you mean Go in general? We have suggestions for Sam didn't say. So the first thing I want to say about that, first thing I want to say about Sanrinsei is if we play the start point, because we've got allies in the area, we could easily just like start launching invasions, because all we have to do is have one stone to connect up to. Easy to connect, easy connection, right? So since we have easy connection, we're probably going to instead hit the 3-3 in Sente if we can, and then just kind of like break this up. You mean Go in general? Oh, I'm sorry, CK Fly. I'm sorry you don't understand Go. I'm sorry you don't understand Go. The basic premise is this. These two players are each placing stones on the board that can be captured. If you surround the intersections, the stone dies and is removed, which is why they're taking care of their positions to ensure that they can't be killed. They are also trying to surround open parts of the board at the same time. Person who surrounds more of the board than their opponent wins. And right now the question is, where is the largest point that surrounds most of the board? Someone said here. But problem is, there's an easy way to invade this area. So instead, Black chooses a little bit more of a conservative option and encloses. We enclose this area because we can envision that it's kind of a lot harder to like live back in here. This is probably dead, and thus far like that's going to remain Black's territory. Then a move like this, where there are easy ways to invade what we wanted to get, and leaves our corners open. That is the basic premise of what's going on the board. Also, Black is completely rabid because he keeps picking fights with everything that moves. And if it doesn't move, he's picking fights with it anyway. So Black plays here. And White says, I'm going to fight over your territory. Because keep in mind, remember, the goal of the game is to get more points than their opponent. And White just saw a Black saying, this area is mine because I'm trying to enclose it. So White says, no, you're not. I'm going to fight over that area. And Black says, no, you're going to die. I'm going to surround you, and you're dead. White says, no, I'm leaving. I am not dead. Black says, damn it, you're dead. Look, this stone is literally one move away from dying now. This area is mine. So White extends. Black follows. Seeing if we can maybe kill this stone. Black says, no, you can't kill my stone. Drop dead. White says, can I kill this stone? And Black says, no, you can't kill that one either. Drop dead. It's like, alright, how about I run this stone away? Well, that one's actually going to work. Because if we keep playing here, then our stones back in here are going to die. And then those two are ripped. So, unfortunately, we have no choice but to extend here to make sure that these two stones don't die. As a result, white gets another move in here. Again, we're going to save our stone so it doesn't die. We're trying to come out as fast as we can. I'm trying to come out as fast as we can. Starting to surround all the things. This is now an Atari. One move away from being killed. This is the only liberty left on this little group. So we have to take. That stone is now dead. Add to the pool. And then white gets to have Sensei to connect some of his weak points behind. Now, up until this point, I have been saying that white is not the most aggressive player. It is black has been the most aggressive player because he started off really, really early picking fights. But this last exchange of sacrificing this stone, sacrificing these 3 stones, in order to build up the outside, because he is trying to surround this group. Like you can imagine, if we get a nice full surround here, then suddenly this entire area needs to make 2 eyes, right? And that's what that little sacrifice sequence was for. Well, the question is, can he do it? Can he do it? Your view always counts, Dragon. Black plays the Atari. White cuts that off immediately, giving up even more fricking stones. More stones given up. Because we are trying to go all in on that sucker. White has a lot of points. Does white really have a lot of points? White has some points here. These points down here. Hello. Can barely see my fingers because I'm cutting off the board, but hi, we're down here. We got some points down here. These are ours. Where else does white have points? Here, in this area, sure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, you know, we've got, well, that dead stone too, don't we? Alright. Don't really know what's happening here or here. We can probably say this might be 15 points. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Oh, a lot of cut points. Oh, sorry. I'm across the room. I read things. I don't read very well. Sorry, NA reader over here. Black gets rid of. Wow, that was wonderful. So how do we live? How do we live in this area? 15's like 25. $25 for white, really? I think we can't really count it because we don't really know what's going to happen. Like, for all you know, this might be a black stone. We don't know what's up there yet. I think 25 is a little pushing it. Like, for now, we can't count it. We could count, like, okay, this is going to be worth, like, X amount of points. We could count, like, this is going to be worth X amount of points. But I don't think we can actually count that right now until, like, yeah, later, right? So, we're going to try and live for black. Making it hard for as long as we can. Making it as hard as we can. I feel like I took away too many stones. I did, didn't I? Yeah, I moved it. When did I move that stone? Did my sleeve bump it? I don't know. I think my sleeve might have bumped it. Anyway, black plays there. White's gonna deny. That's now not an eye. He's almost alive, though. Oh, I misplaced it? Okay. This looks like an eye point. That looks like an eye point. And we're not even... And we're not even completely surrounded yet. So with this move, we can count one way for black to live. We can count 2 ways for black to live. I mean, we're out. We can't keep this fight up any longer. So white says, I'm not going to try. And instead, we're going to approach. Question is, what can we do now? What can we do now? Well, we can kick, keep him out of our corner. There's a little bit of a cutting point here, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. He's trying to make it work. Now, your first knee-jerk response might be to play here, but then you give the Atari behind, and that's going to be Sente. So rather than do that, we're just going to go ahead and play this one immediately. That way that's not Sente. Unfortunately, by not playing here, you create Aji in your corner. But, you know, you can't have everything. Smells like time Suji. Let's white connect. Dun dun dun. Gets to go under. This group isn't looking very healthy. Nice old variation. We're going to Atari. That stone's one move from being captured. But we don't care. Because when white takes, we're going to go underneath. And now we've got like a little bit of a corner again. So where should white play now? Where does white play now? Got a little bit of reduction here. Our group on top is fine. That's Gote. Our group here is still okay. We're alive. Our group here is still fine. This didn't change this at all. So what do we do? Needs a base. So you're thinking something like this there, Carrot Hop? E18, what's E18? What is E18? Oh my god, you are aggressive, son. You're like, you don't get anything here. But keep in mind, this is already alive. We can't poke out this eye. All we need are 2 eyes to live. We got this one unless this move is played. And no matter how we play here, we can't get rid of these until we fill. So this is already alive. A little too aggressive, sir. A little too aggressive. Still open side, C10. C10 or even further. dun, dun, dun. Can't kill it, it's so much to resign. Run, Johnny, absolutely. If nothing can die, why are we still playing this stupid game? Black comes out before white can play and make a huge area. White takes some points. Black descends. Making everything small. Do. We need to formalize our eye shape considering we're being assaulted. I will click SE at this point. See, he is 0.5 behind and concede. I wouldn't do that. Maybe-ish. Possibly. Sometimes. Once in a while. A couple times a day. You know, something like that. Aggressive. We're going after and keeping him in. We're not going to play here and say you get to Hane and live and let live. We're going to Iron Pillar. Just beat him to death with on. It's like, I do not care what you do. We have the Hane. Begetting Hane. And now we can threaten to connect up underneath. So black better know what he's doing. This is about to be a jailbreak for some stones if he's not careful. Tries to come out. Defends shape. Defends cutting point. Connects on up and keeps assault on the group on the left-hand side of the board. Now all we need to do is live, so it's time to come on out, see if we can't connect. And white is not going to make that very easy. It's like, no, you can't stop me from connecting. And white says, are you sure? Oh dear. Are you absolutely sure that I can't? It's like, yes. You cannot stop me. I will cut you. Uh-oh, incoming dead stone. Incoming dead stone. If we save the dead stone, we're going to get completely surrounded, and then the left-hand side is going to get killed. Oh dear. Connecting on up. Connecting on up. I like that he's going back and playing a defensive measure for this rather than taking the one stone. That is good. Everything's sent it up. Take 2 stones. Same thing over here. I forget how long this game goes, actually. It goes to counting. Oh, God. Descends, because now this is big. This is bigly. If we don't play here, then we can cut and connect. That would be bigly, because then this would be dead. And then we would be sad. And the peasants would not rejoice. Poke. Even a moron connecting against a peep, which means this moron's going to fight it. It's like, no, we're going to counterattack the peep. It's like, what? That's not what Proverbs say to do. Looks okay so far. Looks okay so far. We're connected. Good, 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 good. Tower the one stone. Go back and connect with a white stone. Thank you. Wait, what? Oh, it is black's turn. Sorry. Black connects first, so white does as well, or threatens to anyway. Black says, more for me, less for you. Makes just can't get reduced any further. Rip 25 points. We connect here. We bend, so we keep these stones. Suffice to say, they continue all the way to endgame. Black wins by 5.5. I know, some people love the endgame. I always post the links to the games that I go over on the description, YouTube. You can go ahead and look at that. That's completely fine.